Well, you're still watching Business Edge, and that was the Emir Lamido Sanusi speaking right there, talking about the endemic issues in the north and how that these things will be surmounted, and we also hope that they will be surmounted. Now, the federal government of Nigeria has approved a new withholding tax regime with key changes to the previous system. This new regime, announced by Chairman Taiwo Oyedele of the Presidential Committee on Fiscal Policy and Tax Reforms, includes various measures to improve the tax system. Small businesses will be exempt from withholding tax compliance. Companies with low margins will benefit from reduced tax rates. Joining me for this is Yomi Olugbenro, partner and West Africa tax leader at Deloitte. Thank you so much for joining me today, Yomi.
Good morning and good to be on your show. It's my pleasure.
Absolutely. Now, the federal government has approved the exemption of small businesses, manufacturers and farmers and, all of those people from paying the withholding tax. And this is aimed at reducing the tax burden on businesses. And some probably just want to know, what exactly is this withholding tax and how does it even work? How does it even work? Maybe we'll begin from there.
All right. Thank you again for having me on your show. So, withholding taxes, it's actually a system where taxpayer, pay in advance a portion of their annual income tax obligation to the government in order to, defray the cost of governance and make it a lot easier for taxpayers to comply. As you know, there are specific due dates for companies and individuals to file their annual tax returns. But the obligation of government is on a continuum. And so in order to provide, if you like, cash advance for the government on an ongoing basis, the withholding tax regime, came into being. And it's been with us for almost running into 5 decades now. But what has happened is that quite a number of complications and difficulties have arisen over the years. Notably, there are instances where the rules are not so clear as to what should be eligible to income tax and what shouldn't be eligible to income tax. There have been instances where even the process of making those payments have become a lot problematic, for taxpayer. And in a number of cases, when those advanced taxes are paid, because that's what withholding taxes are, sometimes there are difficulties in the beneficiaries being able to claim the credit for taxes that have been paid in advance. So, and there have been quite a lot of complaints, about this over the years. So what this withholding tax regulation has done is to essentially address all of those bottlenecks, notably difficulties that taxpayers were having with paying, the ambiguities we're having in the law, the fact that in a number of cases the rates are far higher than what the final tax liability should be. So essentially, this is relief. It's one regulation or one development within the tax space that it's a cheering news to taxpayers and everyone in the system.
All right, now let's take a look at the key changes. The exemption of small businesses from withholding tax compliance and reduced rates for businesses with low margins. I mean, the devil, they say, is in the detail. Talk to us about the workability and, the rate we're looking at here. How will small businesses be defined for this purpose? And can you also elaborate on the specific criteria for determining, the reduced rates?
Right. So there are quite a number of transactions and individuals that are exempted. So maybe I just, first of all, just preface it this way. Like I did mention, withholding tax is an advanced form of income tax. So anyone that have an annual income tax obligation at the end of the year could ordinarily have been, covered under withholding tax obligation. But because of the difficulties in administering and the complaints that the rate that have been used in the past can be too prohibitive and sometimes punitive for businesses with low margin, these regulations have then looked at the entire business spectrum to say what are those challenges. So you mentioned, for example, small businesses. You remember that in the past few years, we've had exemption from small businesses from paying income taxes, for example. If you have turnover of 25 million naira and below, you are not liable to company income taxes. Now, because you're not liable to company income taxes, if anyone deduct withholding taxes from your transactions, it becomes a bit punitive. So that's what this regulation eventually linked in. The regulation specifically indicates that any transaction that is being done by small and medium-scale enterprises, and the value of the invoice is below 2 million naira, you don't need to worry about withholding taxes. All right. If you are doing a transaction over the counter, so you just walk into a stall or a mall to make a purchase by cash or by direct transfer on your bank account without any pre-existing contract or relationship, you don't need to deduct withholding taxes at all. It's completely exempt. If you are a manufacturer or if you are a producer and that transaction is in the ordinary course of business and you are selling what you have produced or what you have manufactured, you don't need to pay withholding taxes. And quite a lot more. Insurance premium is exempted. Commission, that brokers deduct from the fee, when acting for their principal is exempt. Transaction in real estate investment trust scheme, and quite a lot more. Like that. So essentially,
all right.
Yeah. So go on. I can see you want to jump in there.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, Yomi, for your time today. I'm afraid we'll have to end this conversation here.
Absolutely. Thank you. Thank you so much for having me.